Welcome back to Writing Tips and Writerly Musings with writing tips from the pros and, of course, my own Writerly Musings. I'm your host, Morgan Hazelwood, and today I'm here with the simple reason that I am terrified to break my writing streak. For a lot of writers, November means writing. The weather is cruddy, our computers are cozy, and many of us started with the now defunct NaNoWriMo, a challenge to write 50,000 words or about 200 pages in the month of November. For me, I've been using November to fast draft the bulk of my manuscripts since 2013. Now, not all of my manuscripts are finished and only a few are polished, but it helps me write. For the curious, I'm going to go through the list. Okay, I've got my YA Second World Fantasy, where a religious tattoo artist learns her overachieving big sister's success might prove deadly. That one's polished. I have the YA Second World Fantasies sequel, where we're overthrowing the theocracy and it's full of placeholder names, and it is a rough draft. I have my middle grade contemporary fantasy. It's a school play and friendship story in a world where writing changes reality. That one's polished. I have an adult historical ish fantasy. Robin Hood never made it back from the war, so his half sister Scarlet conspires with Maid Marian to save the family lands. Is it an adventure? Is it a romance? I don't know. I'll edit it when I figure it out. I did a nano worth of short stories one year because I didn't have like a big story idea. And one of those stories is my one published short story out there. I did an adult space fantasy. It's a fairy tale Baba Yaga in space where pirates are stealing the space manta rays from the octopus aliens, and a human waitress longs to return to the stars. Together, they fight crime. That one's polished. I have an adult suburban fantasy. After her grandmother's death, a woman finally has the opportunity to rebuild her life. Found family, hearth magic. It's not even halfway done. Um, I have an adult space fantasy sequels. Well, okay, it's set in the same world with one overlapping character. We've got a floating casino, missing family, Red Panda Detectives. It's fun. It's unfinished. And I have an adult urban fantasy with a vampire mage werewolf making their own family and stopping a deadly conspiracy. And that one is rough drafted. So that's it. But I know the math does not check out. That is because two of my three polished manuscripts took 2 Novembers to get right because the endings weren't working. Okay. For both, I effectively tossed out the last third, salvaged what I could, and added a fresh 50K to finish them both out. Since traditionally published adult fantasy novels are between 80 and 120,000 words in today's market, 2 Novembers worth of words are often needed to finish a manuscript. Anyhow, now, NaNoWriMo does not work for all writers, but also throwing away half of your manuscript and trying again doesn't work for all writers. But apparently, I am not good at endings and often need to try more than once. I have acknowledged that it is part of my process and part of why I'm probably never going to be drafting multiple books in a year. So, momentum driven writing. I am a momentum driven writer. If I write too slowly, my story veers off track because I lose track of where I was going. The first time I wrote that first space fantasy, I slowed down after November and the story veered off course. Now, I don't mind a story shifting as I write it, but it turned into a story about tax fraud and school field trips, and that was not the story I wanted to tell. So the next November, I backed up, took a second run, and got an ending that felt right for the story. Now, if I aim for too many words in a day, I will burn out. And while I have successfully completed the 50K challenge 11 times, I know what I need to quote unquote win. Um, but it also completely burns me out. I don't write in December. So why do I keep doing it? To get my words down, and it gives my story a really strong starting place and pushes me to turn my ideas into pages. Even though I slow down after the initial push, that original momentum is why any of my manuscripts even exist. So, watching my word count tick up shows me that I am making trackable, measurable progress. By the end of the first week, I have a streak going, and there is little that Morgan likes worse, likes less, hates more than breaking a streak. Caveat: as with all writing advice, target word counts do not work for all authors and might work for an author on some days and not on other days. Do what works for you. Okay, that said, beware the groove. The problem with knowing that I am a momentum driven writer is knowing what happens when my momentum breaks. Once I start making excuses, I can make them forever. I used to lift heavy weights, deadlifting more than my body weight. I used to blog here weekly for nearly 10 years. I used to be a dancer. I used to be a fencer. And while some people can miss a day or a year and get back to what they wanted to do when they're ready, once I lose a groove, all too often I never find it again. For example, my rare and sporadic posts here since late 2023. I think this is my fifth post in 2 years. So maybe writing is my current ADHD hyperfixation, but I feel like I have more stories I want to tell. So let's talk about me getting ready to write. Different authors prepare to start a new manuscript in different ways. While some authors make it up as they go along, writing by the seat of their pants, pantsers, others plan every last detail, planners. Most of us are somewhere in between. I have been self identified as a plantser since I started this whole writing journey. And when I have tried to veer off course, it has not gone well. Typically, I write a high level outline, think encounters soldier, travels to city, etc. And then I completely ignore it until I get stuck. Now, I often follow beat sheets. You can find them on Jamie Gold's website, JAMI Gold, to try and get my pacing right for the standard 3-act structure. Knowing where I'm going and the vague notion of the scenes helps me figure it out. It's in the back of my head, even if I'm not staring at the outline. Now, I've tried being a planner, I've tried planning. Part of the issue with my unfinished suburban fantasy is that I planned my scenes with more detail than normal, and my scenes ended up being written to spec, but the emotional arc wasn't there. The scenes didn't flow into each other. It was just like a thing happened and then another thing, like the middle part of Moana. Now, I've tried pantsing. Part of the issue with my never ending revisions on my current work in progress, the urban fantasy, is that I went in without knowing what the big conflict at the end would be. I wasn't even sure if I was writing urban fantasy or paranormal romance. I made it up as I went along. And while I don't hate the story and I adore the characters and the world, I hated every bit of the process, y'all. You can't even. Hated it. So I have learned that if I am pantsing a story, it probably means that the story and the world have not percolated enough in my brain, and I am not ready to write it. Now, I'm not saying I'll never be a planner or a pantser, but so far, those techniques have not worked for me, and I am going back to my plantser lifestyle with a huge sigh of relief. So let's get into the whole point of this entire post. My biggest fear as a writer. Now, going into November this year, I'm still in the middle of revisions for that pantsed urban fantasy, but I've been slogging through it since June, and I'm like a third of the way in. The ending is still fuzzy, and I'm still trying to work things out, and I hate putting it down. but it is not going to get me the volume of words that I need for my November writing challenge. And beyond that, I'm pretty sure it needs more time to percolate before I can do it justice. So, what I'm planning on working on starting in November is my second space fantasy. Uh, I'm working on that story for several reasons. One, I already have an outline. Huh, look at that, not pantsing. Number two, it probably needs at least 50,000 new words. Three, I'm switching one of the point of view characters to someone else who is in a lot of the original point of view characters' scenes. So, like, these two, the old character and the new character, are in the same scene. So, like, switching point of views is gonna give me lots of words pretty quickly. Um, Fourth reason I'm doing it is I figured out a better motivation for one of the remaining point of view characters that should help flesh out her chapters better. The fifth reason I'm working on it is I hate leaving stories unfinished. The sixth reason is I want to know how this story ends. And number seven, the biggest reason of all that I'm doing this is I am terrified that if I skip the 50K challenge this year, that I will never pick it up again. I have seen my track record once I lose momentum on anything, and with me being the only person I'm accountable for, I don't have great faith in me getting back to my writing if I put it down. So let me know if you're joining me for our writing challenge in November, if you're working on another project, or if you're just hanging out. Because you are not, you are worthy no matter what you produce. You are a person and we love you. So have a great rest of your day and I'll catch you later. Bye-bye.